Vice President Kashim Shettima visits Kebbi State, reaffirms government's resolve to secure MAGA abducted students.
This is a time for unity, for compassion, and for firm resolve in the face of evil. Our priority is singular and unflinching.
Kwara State Police Command confirms death of 2 persons during church attack, launches manhunt.
A National Assembly to accelerate passage of Nigeria Police Force Establishment Bill.
We have treated the issue here comprehensively, and it has been transmitted to the Senate. On the issue, we are done with it.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we focus on upholding child rights.
All right, first let me congratulate Nigerian children on today's landmark celebration. Victor, you know, I've always, shared here on Good Morning Nigeria how my father, went above and beyond, just to ensure that I got quality education. And honestly, I'm still on that journey today, and that's because of one person. And that's my spouse, because he also supports me. So really, I'm one of the children who actually enjoyed what is meant by fundamental right. I'm talking about specifically now the right to education. But can we say the same for millions of other children?
Well, perhaps not, but I must have missed the conversation where you made this known. But in my home too, there's been no discrimination. I grew up among sisters, and more sisters, by the way, and everybody had the same level playing field to seek education to whatever heights that they desire.
So it's a familiar story.
Yes, indeed. Your story does sound familiar, and many of us could see it as being right. Like Herbert Hoover said, children are our most cherished treasure. But the real question becomes, are we giving them the kind of opportunities that they really need, and which shaped your own story?
Absolutely. Victor, our children are our own resource every nation must nurture. But how do we fully honor the value when the well-being of many children still hang in the balance? Now, from unsafe communities to child trafficking, there is also molestation and all forms of child abuse. The reality is not just worrying, it's really devastating.
Indeed, indeed. And in spite of all of these challenges, the potential of the Nigerian child shines through, whether in science, in technology, innovation, or the creative arts. Our children are standing shoulder to shoulder with their peers around the world.
And UNICEF, everybody knows UNICEF right from our school days. We know United Nations International Children's Education Fund. It's fully, active. The international agency is fully aware of the value that our children hold, and that's precisely why they have set aside the 20th of November every year to celebrate our children. Now, it's a day that's rooted in the adoption of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. So today, it remains the most ratified human rights treaty in history.
Indeed, and UNICEF does describe it as a day for every child, everywhere, a moment to celebrate their rights and renew our shared commitment to protecting and respecting them.
Absolutely, Victor. And, you know, we have dozens and one of these child rights, but the reminder is quite sharp. I mean, we must mention, you know, recent tragedy at the government days comprehensive secondary school for girls in Maga, that's in Danko Wasagu local government area of Kebbi State, you know, a few days ago. We of course, we all heard the story. Armed bandits attacked the school, killed the vice principal, injured some, and of course abducted 25 you know, children in that school.
Indeed, a very, very sad development, Claire. And it makes this year's theme, My Day, My Rights, even more relevant. Stakeholders say it is a call to action, urging every child to know, to defend, and exercise their rights.
So today on Good Morning Nigeria, we are dedicating this episode to our children, and that's the, I mean, as media practitioners, that's what we can do. We will turn the spotlight on their plights, struggles, and open up the rights of the Nigerian child. What are the laws? I mean, the laws are there, but we will unpack some of these laws and to see how the relevant institutions, implementing institutions, are implementing, and of course, we'll also look at, you know, the gaps that are available. And by the way, we'll also look at what UNICEF is also doing. Yes, in today's edition of the program. I am Claire Adilabu Abdurazak, and I welcome you to the program.
All right, just to add that we will also briefly highlight the Night of Bliss. What is it? You have to find out when the time comes. I'm Victor, so thank you very much for joining us. We are live on the network service of the NTA. Newspaper Review, of course, has become a key part of this program and will come up as usual. But at the moment, we have Comfort Amodu standing by with the morning news.
Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. If you have just joined us, and it's on the network service of the NTA. Usually we should be having newspaper review, but Chukwudoko Ligbaja, I can tell you, is right here with us. But first, we would like to let you know that the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, going by its order at the last adjourned date, is set to deliver its judgment in the alleged terrorism act against the leader of the proscribed IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. We hear Nnamdi Kanu faces verdict in 7-count charge. And at this point, we will be joining our correspondent, of course, judiciary correspondent, Dele Atumbi, for details. Dele, good morning, and thank you for joining us live on Good Morning Nigeria. Let me quickly just ask, and I'm just curious. I mean, you are a barrister from the legal standpoint. How does the court now handle a situation where we are having the defendant, you know, challenge the very jurisdiction, or what you may call validity of the case that has been brought against him?
Thank you, Claire. When jurisdiction of the court is challenged, the court has the two things to do. The first thing is to address the matter, and or the defendant will take the matter to the appeal, challenging jurisdiction of the court. And don't forget that on this matter that started 10 years ago, Nnamdi Kanu had the opportunity to challenge the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court, Abuja, once or twice, in which he told the court that the court did not have jurisdiction. However, the Court of Appeal up to Supreme Court remitted the case back to the Federal High Court for adjudication, because when it comes to Terrorism Act, the Federal High Court has jurisdiction over alleged Terrorism Act. And it is equal, as at the time I'm talking to you, Nnamdi Kanu is equally challenging the jurisdiction of the court. Note it that the issue of jurisdiction of the court can be raised at any point in time, maybe at the trial court, at the Court of Appeal, or at the Supreme Court. And it's a germane issue when it is raised. And going to this, to the facts of this matter now, Nnamdi Kanu faces 7-count charge in which is alleged to have incite people against the police or security agencies. Is equally been another count before the court is that Nnamdi Kanu had incited the people in the southeast not to be operating every Monday sit-at-home order, and this sit-at-home order has paralyzed the economy of, according to what they presented before the court, has paralyzed the economy, allegedly paralyzed the economy of the southeast. And another one has to do with the fact that Nnamdi Kanu allegedly imported transformer into Nigeria, transmitter into Nigeria. And when you are talking about transmitter, and he has equally been alleged that he has, that is in ELA, local government area, and he has equally been alleged that he has been inciting people against the government. And these were some of the things that have been presented before the court. And don't forget that about 4 judicial officers had taken their turn on this matter in the last 10 years. It started from Justice Ahmed Mohamed, who recused himself in 2016, and and the chief judge of this court, Justice John Toho, equally recused himself in 2017. And the matter came before Justice Binta Nyako. And if you take a look at Justice Binta Nyako, Justice Binta Nyako was the one that granted bail to Nnamdi Kanu in 2018. And Justice Binta Nyako recused herself in the matter in 2024, September 2024. And it is now being handled by Justice James Omotosho. Whether Justice James Omotosho will go ahead and deliver judgment, it has to do with the fact that Nnamdi Kanu has equally filed before the Court of Appeal, raising the issue of jurisdiction and challenging the fact that the jurisdiction of the court and the fact that the counts against him were not found in any...
Dele, just one more question for you, Dele, just before you go. I'm just wondering, is there a precedent, in just 30 seconds, is there a precedent of what is happening in our law? I mean, or might this, now become a precedent for similar situations in future?
There are precedents when it comes to the issue of law. And the truth of the matter is that you can challenge the jurisdiction of the court any time of the day. Just recently, the Senate, the National Assembly, challenged the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court before the Court of Appeal, and later the matter was withdrawn. The truth of the matter is that jurisdiction of the court can be challenged at any point in time. But we hope that at the end of the day, judgment will be delivered. This case has lingered for over 10 years, and the moment judgment is delivered, the defendant has the right of appeal between the Court of Appeal and up to the Supreme Court.
Dele Atumbi, head of our judiciary desk, we thank you, and of course we expect details once the decision has been made by the judiciary. Thank you, Dele.
Thank you, Claire.
We now return, of course, to our newspaper review, and Chukwudi Okodugbaja has been sitting quietly, unlike... Okay, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. And as we said earlier on, it's a day dedicated for our children, and we'll be bringing our guest for, robust conversation on, the future of our children. But before then, let's listen to a background report compiled and put together by our correspondent, Oyeyemi Ajayi.
The Nigerian child, leader of tomorrow, full of potentials with vision yet to be explored, possesses vast abilities, agility and strength with a future that seems to be bright. Upholding children's rights is a major responsibility for all. It involves protecting their survival and development, ensuring they are free from all forms of violence and discrimination, as well as promoting their participation in matters that affect their lives. According to the international agreements like the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, it obliges governments to create laws and policies to protect these rights, ensure children have access to education, healthcare, and a safe environment to reach their full potential. Many say this requires a collective effort from governments, communities, parents, and individuals to create supportive settings and to listen to children's voices. Children are meant to be protected from harm, which includes freedom from abuse, neglect, exploitation, harmful work, and any form of violence, including corporal punishment. Likewise, they are meant to encourage participation by giving children the right to express their views on decisions that affect their lives and build their capacity to participate effectively. But so far, how will we describe how the child's rights are being upheld in the country? Can we say the rights of the child is indeed being upheld? Our guests already seated in the studio will be answering these questions and more shortly.
All right, many thanks, Oyemi Ajayi, for that background report. And to begin our conversation, let me welcome here in the studio Ronak Khan, who is UNICEF Nigeria Deputy Country Representative. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning.
All right, and let me also welcome Praise Ayekusayi, who is a UNICEF Young Influencer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's also welcome in our midst Hawa Abbas, President, Founder, Silver Lining for the Needy Initiative. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We also have Honorable Abdul Hamid Oladipupo Ali. Of course, he is known as Mr. Nigeria. He was former TIC chairman in Ilorin West local government area of Kwara State, and founder Stop Violence Against Men and the Boy Child. Honorable Oladipupo, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for bringing us on here.
All right. I don't know, Victor. I would generally like to start, with a question for everyone to share, their childhood moments. Of course, one that reminds us of what the essence of what we're talking about, why this conversation that we're having today matters. I had earlier, although he wasn't here, when I shared my beginnings and how I was not deprived, of the right to go to school, the right for quality education by my father, regardless of my background. So I would like to start with Hawa. Can you share a memorable moment for you, that speaks to the issues of child rights?
I want to say that I have a lot of memory moments. The most important thing is I was in a safe space. And as children then, we used to be able to play outside freely without our parents being worried. In fact, it was mandatory. After you come back from school, you do your little chores, you go outside and you're able to play with your neighbors, and you know that there's a certain time you come in. I know lately on social media there's been things going around when the Gen Zs are being told that, we used to play outside till it was dark and then we come in for dinner, have our shower and go to bed. But nowadays, parents are so scared for their children to go outside because they can be picked by anybody, they can be influenced by other people, they can be incorporated into things that they are not supposed to be, because there's so many kidnapped, even, just get involved in lots of things that children are not supposed to be involved in at this stage. There's the issue of abuse as well, just leaving your child outside, the fear of abuse as well is really, really rampant now.
So for you, it's safe space?
Safe space was one of the most important things for me as a child, yes.
Honorable, what was most important for you growing up?
Yeah, growing up, I was privileged to exhibit the talent in me. I was privileged to start writing, as a younger person, and I discovered the talent in me through my dad's exposure. You know, I discovered that for every child then, it makes sure that we read newspapers every day. There is a constant vendor that brings newspaper to the house. So once it comes, it gives to each and every one of us. And it says, face your studies. Then we also make sure that we enroll in Arabic school. While most of our other peer groups were enrolled in nursery schools, we went to Arabic school, Akarata, even in Lagos then. You know, and by the time we were 8, 6, 7, we already completed the Holy Quran. I graduated as the Quranic, my first Quranic at the age of 9, I guess, you know, when I was in primary 3. So in that situation, it makes sure that the foundation, the bedrock of each and every one of us, morals.
Who did that? Who provided this foundation?
Our parents.
Your parents
yes,
then?
Our parents
okay.
then, yeah.
Khan, let's hear your own story.
Yeah, I come from the other parts of the world. So I come from South Asia. And there's a lot of, like, you know, differentiation between a boy child and a girl child. But I was so lucky to be born in a family where my parents, especially my father, he never differentiated between a boy child and a girl child. And that was a defining moment for us, for all of us siblings, to get the equal opportunities for everything, be it education, be it healthcare, be it other areas of protection. So this is really my defining moment.
Fantastic.
All right. Let me take praise.
Praise, Rora.
Now, you represent young people. You've listened to the other people in the studio. How does their own childhood differ from the childhood of today's child? Maybe not you particularly, maybe not you alone, because you speak for young people, so I'm sure you have an idea of what many of them go through. You may have a clear path, but for others, what is it that troubles the young child today?
Okay, thank you for that question. So as you said, opportunity is not given for most of us to go out as it used to be back then, because everybody is like, don't go out at this time, you cannot go out, this person will influence you badly, I don't want anybody to spoil the child I've trained or this. So that's one difference, because there's a limited opportunity, there's a limited fun we can have at this point in time, because not kind of asset is given again. And also, most parents don't follow up on their children to read. Like him now, he said his father followed up on them reading newspapers. Now, you read your book, it's not your parents' business. You read newspapers. In fact, some people go on to allowing their children read any kind of things that they read what is not supposed to be for their kind of age group at that point in time. And as she said, sometimes they prioritize girl child over boy children and boy children over girl children. So that makes some young people go into depression. I'm not loved enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. So those are part of the differences.
All right, but would you think that, you know, it is a difference of times, the time that they grew up and the times, would you think that indeed there could be danger out there, or that they're trying to shield you from, or do you think it just goes against you?
Okay. So sometimes you understand that there's danger, but sometimes you're like, oh no, you're being overprotective, you don't just want to allow me have fun. So it depends on the kind of situation and the kind of explanation you give.
All right.
I'm just wondering, do you think that these things, do you think they are deliberate, or are there, you know, issues that have, you know, constrained, you know, them?
There are issues that have constrained them, but when you explain it to them, they will understand. But if you just give them a stern instruction without explanation, they will think it's deliberate.
That's
as a young person.
Yes, and that's precisely, thank you, you know, why I want to bring in, you know, UNICEF at this point. I know, like I said, I mean, UNICEF is just part of my life. I've known UNICEF, you know, from even primary school ahead of UNICEF. So UNICEF, you know, has been doing quite a lot for children all over the world, but basically because for Nigerian children. And recently you launched the 2025 report on the Nigerian child. Can you briefly and concisely unpack this report for us?
So this report is launched, actually it will be launched today. It's a progress report that, you know, what has happened to the children's lives in Nigeria, but also where are the gaps as well. Because we can celebrate a lot, but also we need to be very conscious of where we need to make sure that certain rights are not fulfilled for Nigerian children. I'll give you one example. The immunization coverage has increased, so it's time for celebration. But only 40% of children, they are receiving all the vaccines. That means that 60% of children are not getting it. So the focus with the government and the partner would be through this report. It's a mirror of what is happening to the children's lives, that how do we work jointly to make sure that all the rights are fulfilled.
All right, thank you very much.
Is that all there is? All there is? I mean,
to the report.
To the report, yes, just on immunization.
No.
Yes.
It actually covers the whole range: the education, the protection, the water and sanitation situation. What is happening in the emergency, like a situation in Northeast and Northwest, and so on and so forth. So it covers all ranges of issues that are affecting a child's life in Nigeria.
So what are the red flags?
There are many red flags. And in...
we'll probably take it.
Let's take them, yes,
yes,
one by one. In terms of the right to survive, let's begin.
Yes, so the right to survive. I told you immunization is one of the basic services that actually can save children's life. Also, we know that, a lot of children, they are dying before even they are reaching 29 days. So the neonatal mortality rate in Nigeria is 41 per 1,000 live birth. So out of 1,000 children that are born, 41 children would never reach their 1 month birthday. Many children, they don't even go to the school. Nigeria, unfortunately, is one of the countries with highest number of children that are not going to school, more than 10 million children. But these are all statistics. Can you imagine the face and the lives of every child behind these statistics? What is happening to them? They don't have the ability to go to school, so they cannot learn. Even when they go to the school, there is also this quality of education as well.
Let me take you on the neonatal,
mortality
data. Yes, you've given. Did you, or were you able to find a link or a nexus between, the figure and birth registration?
Not directly, but birth registration is also another fundamental right, and we are working with government, especially with the National Population Commission, NIMSI and others, to make sure that government takes the responsibility and accountability to make sure that every child has been registered and every child has a birth certificate. And I know that where you are getting at. It's so important because we need credible data to come up with a figure. This neonatal mortality that I quoted is actually from survey, the National Demographic Health Survey.
Okay.
But a country cannot rely on surveys. We need to have regular administrative data to understand how many children are surviving, how many children are dying, and the reasons behind it as well. So birth registration is one of the fundamental rights of a child. It's the legal identity of every child in any country, including Nigeria.
Victor, before you move, please, let me just take one more question. Sometimes when we have conversations like this and, statistics or data is rolled out, there usually is some sort of, questioning and doubt. So I'm just wondering how this data, how you were able to compute this data and the methodology that, yes.
So the methodology is internationally recognized methodology for doing either demographic health survey, or we also do multiple indicator cluster survey. So there is no question about that methodology. A sample is actually taken, and then the enumerators, they go to the household level to take information from the parents on vaccination, if the child is going to the schools, their protection, if they have a water in the house, and if there is water, if the water is actually safe, if they have a latrine in the house. So it's actually taken from information. But again, as I mentioned, this is not a sustainable method. We need to have a system where the government needs to have information about all of this through regular, we call it like, either in health, it's called DHIS. In education, it's called Education Management Information Services.
So I have to ask, because I'm sorry, I have to ask because sometimes if there's conflicting, data presented by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics and international agencies that are working on some of these things. So we needed to clarify that before we can move on.
Okay,
Victor,
all right, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. How you work directly with vulnerable children? What situations do you find most commonly in your experience?
Oh, they're endless. So we work basically more in the community and directly with the people. And one of the things I think is the fundamental issue is that the parents themselves don't have awareness and understanding of what needs to be done. We talk about right to education, right to health, right to protection, right to development. However, when a parent is struggling just to feed a child, so their focus is on survival. And we need to understand that survival is every parent's ultimate goal, to make sure that their child survives. And at that point, if they don't have any income, they cannot do all the things that they are supposed to do for this child. So we have to, so in my organization, we ensure that we support, we build households, we strengthen households. We ensure that we...
And how do you do that?
In many ways. So first of all, when we speak about the parents, is that we ensure that they have literacy. A lot of women in rural communities, we have to remember they married really young, so they didn't even finish school themselves. So they themselves as children didn't get the complete right to education, the complete right to protection, the complete right to development. And now they have come to be parents, and we're asking them to do what was not done for them. So we ensure now that we start with the parents. We ensure that a woman who did not know how to read and write knows how to read and write. So her dignity has lifted, her self-awareness has lifted, her confidence has lifted, and her understanding and value for education and health has increased. So that's one of the things we do. We ensure that if they have any petty trade that they're doing, they understand how to do financial literacy to be able to expand whatever it is that they're doing. And we ensure we have funders who are able to support elevation of whatever business they're doing. Now, when a woman or a man or a father or a mother has that empowerment, they are able to translate it to their children. We keep asking parents in rural community, do this for your child must do this, your child must go to school, but if they didn't have that experience and they managed to get to adulthood through survival, then how do we expect them to translate the values that we are asking them to translate?
You know, I mean, there are 1,001 NGOs, child rights advocate, working around the same issue. Yet we're having so many, worrying statistics of even children in unsafe spaces. It's as if what, child rights advocates are doing is just like a drop in the ocean. So why is that so? Why do we feel as if these rights advocates are just not, targeting their resources to the right, priorities?
I believe that the main issue is collaboration. Everybody seems to be doing things on their own, but there are a lot of us that are working together. And when you work together, then you're able to pull the numbers together. A lot of people are actually even doing things saying, oh, I just want to help people because I like helping people, because my Bible says I should help.
And then they draw funds.
Yeah, so they draw funds, but they don't have records. They don't have reports. They don't have, and they're not, who are they reporting to? So, for example, my organization, we work with the Ministry of Health. We work with the Ministry of Education. We work with the Ministry of Women Affairs. So we work with all these ministries. We're registered under them formally, and then so we work with them. So our reports also go to them annually as well. And we are involved in their annual meetings and all that. And so when NGOs and you will find out, I'm sure, I don't know the real percentage, but a large percentage of those who say they're NGOs have no connection to government.
How are you collaborating with UNICEF? Because UNICEF has come up with, 2025 report. And you heard Madam Khan and all that. So in what aspects are you, for instance, collaborating with UNICEF to be able to bridge the gap in, say, immunization for,
So, for example, for UNICEF, we actually work with consortiums. So we're just about to conclude a HPV program that was funded by Gavi. And we didn't work directly with UNICEF, but UNICEF has our reports. So we may not work directly with UNICEF right now, but whatever we do, UNICEF knows what we're doing because they have the statistic. So we've been, for the last 18 months, trying to increase the uptake of HPV vaccines. Now, the government moved the age and said that we should...
You have to spell it out.
Yes, HPV vaccines is the vaccine that ensures that we protect children from cervical cancer. So in the last 18 months, what we've been doing is trying to focus on what the government told us to focus is 9-year-olds, to ensure 9-year-olds get the vaccine to prevent them from having cervical cancer. Now, initially, 18 months ago, we had a really low number because of vaccine hesitancy, lack of trust in vaccines, rumors that it was brought to Nigeria to sterilize children so that they don't get pregnant, to reduce population, etc., etc. And so we've used pharmacies, we've used social media, which is a powerful tool to be able to increase the knowledge. We've used Nollywood actors as well to be able to get our message out. We've used religious leaders. We use community leaders. So we've used people in the communities that people know and trust to be able to increase the rate. And our numbers have been really, in fact, out of this world. We haven't gotten to 100%, but we've definitely increased. And so, again, to answer your question with UNICEF and other international agencies, we have ECOSOC status, which is a status granted by United Nations to be able to collaborate with international organizations and other civil society organizations that have this. And what we do is ensure that we are working on combining our reports together of what it is we're actually doing, whether it's in the field or whether it's research, because this project I told you that was Gavi funded is actually a research project. And like she said, we need numbers. We need actual real numbers, not generated numbers. We need real numbers that actually say, so a lot of research is actually happening, and I'm sure she can attest to that, so that we can get actually the real numbers and not surveys or suggestions of what is happening.
All right, thank you very much, Awa. And Mr. Nigeria, I like the fact that you work with boy children. I didn't know in my lifetime that I'll come across someone who cares just about boys. It's always been about the girls. But why did you choose this path?
Yeah, thank you very much, presenter. Like I mentioned earlier, the background matters in what most of the things we do. I told you about what my parents, my dad in particular, is someone that tells you no child will not be protected. Despite that, he's not an elite. But it gives us the foundation. So that is how I started. So whatever we instill in the children while growing grows with them when they become adults. So that is one thing, in my part. But this particular project emanated from a personal experience as a victim of violence.
Against the boy alone?
Against man. As in,
he's a victim
I'm not even a survivor because I'm still in it. You understand? Then, in the course of fighting the cause, trying to know what happened, writing institutions, I discovered that I am not the only one there. A lot of men are going through violence, domestic violence. But because of the clamor for stop violence against women, we are having 16 days activism of
that
violence
doesn't get talked about.
So nobody is talking about men. Personally, as I'm talking to you, if you go through the Child Rights Act, the first thing, even what she says while she was talking, is right to identity. I got to discover that my children's right to identity have been derobed, even as I'm sitting here. While she was talking as a UNICEF country rep, deputy country rep, she mentioned that in every country of the world, the identity of the child is the first thing that states the number of. But as I'm sitting here, 2 of my minor children, their identity have been given to another family. By a family of my ex-wife, who believe that because they are in position, and they went and obtained international passport for these children, last year, they got new birth certificate for them.
But that shouldn't be possible ordinarily without your consent.
This is what we are saying. So this is the system that is porous, and a lot of men are going through this.
Yes, but Honorable, we're talking about the rights of the child. So
yes.
From your narration now, you know, because earlier on you shared with me, and of course you shared how you got to the extent of separating with your spouse, and the children. But how does your separation impede the rights of your children?
Yes, this is what I'm saying. Their right to identity has been impeded as I'm talking to you now. My children, with the support of some systemic institutions and the retired Grand Cadi in the States, forged a letter to the court to say that I said I don't want the children again, which I said no, I declined. The judge, it was even a judge that was calling me to tell me.
Just hold on, because we don't want to delve into legal matters.
Yeah.
I want to ask UNICEF. I'm just wondering if in this case, when one parent is deliberately cut off, do we feel that the rights of the child have been violated therein? Is that a feeling?
Yeah, there is a feeling, but this is not what we are actually working on. We are basically working on to make sure that every child has the right to have the legal identity. Now, there are different circumstances that, happens. Yeah, there are different circumstances that happen. We know also in many countries when the father is from one country and the mother is from another country, there is a huge dilemma how the child will get the legal identity in a particular space. And especially if the mother is in the country and the father is from another country, there is a huge legal obstacle there as well. However, to make matters simple, I think we are far from even giving legal identity to many children, including in Nigeria. Only 67% of the children in Nigeria, they have the birth certificate or birth registration. So we have to work on the basics first and then go into all this, and I know that for you it really matters. But
I'm going to still ask another question around this, because history is not an isolated case where you find couples having issues and the children, either of the couples being denied access. How does access impact on the child's rights to security, to true identity and trust?
It does impact, because if you don't have the proper identity, you are not part of the enumeration as well.
What is proper identity in this case?
The proper identity is where the child is born, when the child is born, because it's extremely important to also determine, like, if the child is eligible to get certain vaccine, if the child is eligible to go to school, and also even if the child is married too early, that proper information on birth is extremely important. But, the circumstances happens, but I would say that, yes, this is extremely important for you, but we still have to get the basics right to make sure that, all the children have their legal identity, and then these cases need to be dealt at a legal system. And UNICEF is not getting involved in these legal systems.
No, but let me stay with you for a moment. Does separation of parents by itself, impinge the rights of the children? That is particularly in cases where both parents cannot work together enough to co-parent.
It does, because, it has impact on children's mental health as well. But also we have to remember that if the child is unhappy in a family where they're experiencing violence or there is no peace, so what is the best option for a child? So this is the case by case.
I should be asking, because what would be the best for the child? Now, they can't live together in peace, and they can't even separate in peace.
Yeah.
So the child becomes
So there is no right or wrong answer for that, because we have to understand what is the best interest of a child. You know, I think the best interest of the child lies with a child's right to live in a peaceful environment.
Are there mechanisms that could make this happen regardless of the situation of parents?
Well, it's very different from one country to another country.
In Nigeria?
Well, in Nigeria, I'm not fully aware of the legal system, but I know that in many countries, the children who are in this kind of situation, they have been taken out of the family and they are sometimes put in the foster family or extended families as well. But this will not work in Asia or Africa. We know for sure. So we need to be like, you know, we need to look at the context. And I think we need to come back to the World Children's Day, because
yes,
this is where we started our conversation.
I want to bring my young daughter here. And, you know, the first thing Madam UNICEF talked about, you know, was, of course, she mentioned water. I don't know if you also mentioned access to water. And one of the highlights of your report says, I'm just trying to get out. Says many children still lack basic amenities, clean water, quality health care, and good schools. Mm-hmm. What do you think children still lack good water and can't go to school?
Why?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So at Better Blue Foundation, where I volunteer, some of the students, they have to fetch water or do some chores before coming to school. And the water now we are talking about is not like clean water or treated water. Dirty water, infected water, and as long as it's quenching their thirst, they don't mind, because that's what they have at that point in time. So what I think can change, or why people and children are not still going to school, is priority. If leaders or government prioritize vulnerable children or IDP children education, they will have access to going to school, they will have a safe place to go and learn.
So okay, and I'm also wondering if there is something that you found in those children that you mentor that makes you happy. Is there anything that you see in them do, you know, that gives you hope?
Yes, their passion. Some of them, you hear them saying, I want to be a tech guru, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a doctor, They have passion for different things. Even at that current stage they are, they still have passion for what they want to become.
Okay,
all right.
Victor.
Let's, well, what we are going to get into is not quite far from what we are discussing. Only recently, some students were abducted in a community in Kwara State. They say it's a Ruku. And we are now having to join SP Adetun Ejire Adeyemi, who is the police public relations officer for Kwara State, to give us an update on happenings in this regard. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Please tell us, what's the situation with the children that have been abducted at Iruku?
Good morning. First, I must bring greetings from the Commissioner of Police, Kwara State Command, CP Adekimi Ojo, PSC, MNIPS. He commiserates with the families of those who lost their loved ones, and he wants to reassure them this morning that he is going to deploy every means, which that has long begun since yesterday, and we working assiduously alongside with all the security agencies here in the state, especially the military. We don't want any of such occurrence to happen again, not in that community alone, in Kwara State as a whole. Yesterday, the Commissioner of Police, alongside the Director of the State Security Service, they paid a visit to the community to do an on-the-spot assessment. And the chief, the Oba of the town,
All right, have we lost connection with her? I think we lost connection with Adetun there. Well, we will try to get back to her just to get the updates that we really seek on what's the situation with regards to the 24 children or so abducted from a community in Kwara State. But back here in the studio, let me get back to Hawa. We are talking about the rights of the child. And in your work, earlier I had asked what, the most common situations you find, in your own work. But how do you try to address this, whether as a standalone or in collaboration with agencies of government, partners in your work, or even UNICEF?
So we have multiple ways to address this. Like I mentioned earlier, the focus starts with the parents, and we have things like parenting classes where we actually do involve men and women and boys in our classes. So we have parenting classes where the mothers are in one class, the fathers are in one class, and they are guided and provided resources and understanding of how and the right way to parent a child. As Precious earlier said, a lot of Praise earlier said, a lot of parents don't listen to what their children want, and a lot of parents give instructions without explanations.
Some don't have time, perhaps.
Yes.
Sometimes coming late.
I'm not sure if it's a time issue, but it really is a generation issue, because many parents now who don't explain had parents who didn't need to explain. And so growing up, even you can attest to that when your parents tell you to something, they say, it's because I'm your mother, because I'm your father, that is it. And so it's translating from generation to generation. Unfortunately, what worked 20, 30 years ago can no longer work now. Children are more aware. They're more outspoken now, because of the social media era we're in. Children now understand certain things. Whether you teach them or not, they're going to understand. So it's easier, actually better as a parent, to guide them, because they're going to get information and they're going to absorb information according to how they want to absorb it if they are not guided. So this parenting class addressed that. We have classes for girls as well, where they learn other things there, whether it's personal hygiene, multiple different skills they learn. We have, they also have skills acquisition as well in those classes. We have the ones for boys as well. Within the community, approved by the chief and the cabinet of the community, because anytime NGOs go into communities, they fail to understand that you cannot, they have gatekeepers everywhere, and they fail to go and actually approach the gatekeepers so that there can actually be sustainability in whatever they are doing. So we've mentioned right to identity. We've also tackled this very, very well in communities we're in, to ensure that every child that is born in that community has a birth certificate, and we do work with the National Population Council and other partners as well. Like I said, it's a collaborative effort. You can't do anything standalone if you really want to achieve great results.
Okay, Hawa, I will stay with you. I don't know if SPA Jire Adeyemi is back.
No, not back.
If she's not back, I'll still stay with you. Okay, I hear she's back. SPA Jire Adeyemi, thank you once again. I believe Victor asked a question earlier on and you were responding. Please, could you go ahead?
Okay, I was talking about the courtesy visit that took place yesterday, where the Commissioner of Police and the State Director of the State Department of State Security Service paid a courtesy visit to Eruku community, where they were received by the Oba of the town, His Royal Highness Oba Busari Ainde Olariwaju, who explained the incident or narrated the incident, the dastardly incident that happened the previous day to the Commissioner of Police. And in return, the CP reassured him that he will deploy more personnel to their community. And even importantly, he promised that the armored personnel carrier here in the command would also be stationed in their community. They will mount surveillance, and then a rescue mission is on the way already to, to just rescue victims whom have been abducted. As of now, they are still speculating the number of persons in the custody of these miscreants. We are working assiduously to make sure that we rescue these victims. And I must also correct the notion, because the question you asked earlier on, you said students. They are not students. They are worshippers of a particular church. And we have young ones among them. We have children. We have adults too, So we are just making sure that we rescue them and reunite them with their families. The executive governor of Kwara State, Malam Abdurazak, CON, also came to Eruku, and he also promised them that he is going to make sure that such incidents as this would not repeat itself. And as a result, His Excellency had already spoken with the GOC, whom, as of the time we were leaving that community yesterday, our military had already come into the town. And I believe soon we are going to get, we are going to be successful in this operation, just like many others that we have.
Thank you. Thank you for the points that you have given us. But they say actions speak louder than words. And while the rescue mission is still ongoing, and we join you in praying for the rescue of all the worshippers and in good health, what preventive and protective measures, have you put in place or has been put in place to forestall a recurrence, so that we protect, because we're talking about rights to life, rights to survival. Fortunately, today is for the child, but it's for everybody. And like you said, children are also included in the abduction. So going forward, what have you put in place following this incident?
Well, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetukun, PhD, NPM, has directed all command heads, that is whom we refer to as Commissioner of Police, to man their areas. And visibility policing is one of the methods that we have adopted. And we have been doing that well. We are not going to rest. This thing is not just a one-off thing, and it is not just only in Kwara State alone. We have been working to make sure that these miscreants whom have been infiltrating into the state from neighboring states, we have boundary with Niger, we have boundary with Ekiti State, and making sure that we keep these miscreants off the territory of these states, because one time we're having issues in the Kwara North, and we have been able to make sure that we keep them in check, and it has reduced the drastic to the barest minimum. It's just recent again that we are beginning to have cases of kidnapping, bordering on kidnapping, mostly in the southern part of the state. And we are not going to rest. We'll keep working to make sure that we keep them off the shores or off the territory of Kwara State.
Question from me. We hear Eruku is a border town between Kogi and Kwara, and also located within an isolated area. I'm just wondering how often you patrol those areas, and we hear the people are in shock and scared and afraid. Going forward, are you likely to now increase patrol along those routes?
Yes, all that measures have been put in place. Since this incident begun, this reoccurrent incidents of kidnapping, banditry, and cattle rustling, the Commissioner of Police has directed that more patrols be put in place with our personnel, 247 on duty. We have them patrolling not just in that community, but other communities who are also prone to incidents such as this. And the divisional police officers, the area commanders, most importantly, have been monitoring these activities of our police personnel, and they have been doing well. As a result, we have been recording successes. If I have to tell you, since the assumption of duty of the Commissioner of Police here in Kwara State, we have well over 100 kidnapping suspects who have been arrested, are then prosecuted, and also been remanded. This thing is a continuous exercise. We will not stop. We will not relent until we flush out these criminals off the shores of Kwara State. Kwara State is known as a state for peace and harmony, and we will not allow anyone to come and disrupt the peace of the state.
I am from Kwara State. And I'm asking you, why is it that police now put in everything? We do everything. When the abductions and killings have been done, why is the police not usually proactive and prevent these things? And I'm looking at the area of intelligence sharing. This Eruku is a border town between Kogi. How are you collaborating with, Kogi security agencies so that you don't, be reactive all the time or most of the time?
It's a strong synergy. We are doing a lot. If you are following the news, you will know that we are doing a lot. We will not stop. As we keep working, these things keep coming up, and we will still keep working. The collaboration we have with neighboring states, or the synergy we have with neighboring states, is one that is very strong. I remember a particular incident, kidnapping, that took place in Kogi State, and these kidnappers, after carrying out their operation, they ran into Kwara State. And then we were able to get intelligence reports on that, and were able to pick the location they were, and they were rounded up. They have long been charged and even prosecuted. So these things keep happening, and we as the #1 security agency, we will keep working to make sure that we forestall any of these occurrences.
SP Adeton Ejire Adeyemi, thank you. Thank you for joining us live on Good Morning Nigeria, and we wish you luck in your rescue mission.
Thank you.
Back to our conversation. Let me get to Honorable Ali now. I am just wondering, in your work experience, what the most common pressures you have found that are common to boys and not the girl child?
Yeah. Like we said, what the pressure common to boys are under projected.
What are these?
Take for instance, we have had situations where boys are being raped as well. We have had situations where a teacher or a guardian in school exposed a boy child to be having molestation. We have had situations where even male boys were being molested by adults.
Okay.
You understand? So all these are some of the instances we have.
Apart from sexual abuse, because all of these can be categorized under sexual abuse, are there other pressures that boys face that you have come across?
Of course, yes. Talking about this pressure is generic. I mean, we talk of if the family is disunited, or even if the family is united, and the family is not taking its responsibility. I'm talking about parents now. When you allow the boy child, while growing, you don't give him enough attention, then it gets out of hand. Some parents, like she was saying the other time, that in the course of growing up, you can say, I'm your parents, I'm your mother, I'm your father, this is what you have to do. So if you allow those boys to thinking that, oh, this is a boy, he cannot do domestic work. This is a boy, he should not be allowed to cook. This is a boy, no, leave him, let the girls work. In this area, the boys get out of hand.
But is there a way to protect the boy child without making it a competition between both genders, boy and girl? Is there a way to particularly protect the boy child, since your experience has taught you, particular pressures that boys face?
Yeah, there is a way to protect them. And this still falls back to the society, to the system. The Child Rights Act states it clearly. It states what are the abuses, what are the rights of the child, either boy or girl.
Okay.
Right? Now, we are only saying that more attention is being focused on girls, but the same right that girl has, the boy child has it. And this is what we are saying, that attention should be focused. The campaign we are running now will even take us to United Nations, that equally a day should be declared for against violation of men and boy child, just like we're having with this, to further stem up the awareness. So the same right to child, like the Child Rights Act internationally, and which has been domesticated in countries and states, never separates boy from girl child.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Madam UNICEF. You know, he has told us his story, and we're drawing from his story because the lessons there, you know, affects and impacts, you know, on the essence of our conversation. He has approached the courts and welfare systems and all that, and I'm wondering, who actually provides the protection for the child? You know, who implements the rights of the child? Where has our system failed the most?
Well, the fundamental responsibility is the host government in any environment to protect a child, be it a girl child or a boy child. But the government also needs support from the stakeholders, all the systems that have been put in place, the legal system, the justice system, the ministries. These are the institutions. We have a Ministry of Women, and now they have also added child development. So they have also a lot of responsibility there as well. But also, at the end of the day, it's also the families. They need to be aware that, you know, what are the rights for every child, be it a boy child and a girl child. And I totally agree with you that this should be equal for a boy or a girl. Now, I know that there's a lot of discussion going on, that a lot of attentions have been put to the girls, and there's a reason behind it. If you look at the data or the statistics, you will see that the girls are actually far below in terms of data or indicators, in terms of, like, you know, attending schools, completing schools. It's basically the girls who are getting married off earlier compared to the boys. I'm not saying that the boys are not, you know, occasionally getting married. So the attention was put because we wanted to, or we needed to fill the huge gap between the boys and the girls, and therefore, you know, there was a conscious or intentional decision to focus on the girls. But that's not at the expense of not paying attention to the boys.
Are you concerned about the state of our Child Rights Acts for now? You know, some states have domesticated and implemented, others are not. And this is certainly impacting on, you know, child abuse cases like early marriage, you know, maybe even raping. Some of these child abuse cases end up, you know, as family settlement, and then you deny the child, you know, his or her, you know, fundamental rights to life, to survival and to protection.
You know, the Child Rights Acts in Nigeria, now it's been domesticated in all 36 states and FCT. There was just one state that was falling a bit behind, but that state has already now, they have ratified it. But, you know, the Child Rights Act is a document. It's the familiarization, it's the domestication, it's the understanding by all the people who are responsible for ensuring that these Child Rights Acts are first understood, and then what are the ways to make sure that, you know, it's been fulfilled. So just, you know, signing a document will not get us to anywhere. It's basically how we bring everybody together, first to let them know that this is the responsibility of each of us. What is the responsibility of the duty bearers? And what is the responsibility of the right holders? The right holders are the children, and the duty bearers are us all adults. So I think we need to first internalize and take the responsibility to make sure that, you know, this is not just signing a paper, but it has a lot of responsibility to make it happen.
That's why, sorry, that's why I want to ask, okay, just to follow up to this, Victor, please. I'm sorry, I'm not being, I know you want to ask praise. You know, Eunice, you've been working closely with all the institutions, the government, the interagencies, even the multi-level, you know, agencies.
With the NGOs.
Yes, and you know, even those implementing the SDGs. I'm wondering, where do you find, you know, the most difficult constraint?
The difficult constraint is also not take responsibility. Honestly, we have seen a lot of commitments.
At what layer of implementation?
At various layers, from the highest policymakers level up to the, you know, the service delivery level as well. For example, there could be a fantastic document on safe school. I'm just picking up school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Nigerian government has signed the Safe School Declaration. So they've done a huge, like, you know, first step. But in order to make schools safe, there are many other steps. It falls with the, like, you know, the authorities, the SUBEB, UBEC, but also it's also at the school level. But school is something which is also part of a community as well. And, you know, when I was a child, the schools were very much, you know, the responsibility of not only the school authorities, but also, like, you know, everybody around that community as well. And I see a lot of, like, you know, that responsibility is no longer there. It is only the government that should do 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we need to bring back that sense of responsibility and ownership.
All right, thank you very much. Before we go into a couple of messages that we've got from our viewers, I'd like to engage praise once more. Now, you've also alluded to it, but generally children believe that parents don't listen. So what is that one thing that you can seize the opportunity of today to say you want parents, teachers, and indeed leaders to hear?
In what aspects?
Any aspects. You said it earlier, you said they don't listen enough, right? And this is the feeling of children, you influence for children. So what do you want parents, teachers, the leaders across the world to hear today?
Okay, so one top rights for children are freedom of expression. So when children are expressing themselves, most of the times they are being cut off because the adult or the teacher wants to prove themselves and prove what they are explaining. So now, can you just allow the children express themselves? Just, even if it's not what they are saying is not really important or valid at that time, just listen to them. Then after listening, you can now explain step by step, okay, this is what you need to know about this. This is what you need to know about this. That way, children will be open to talking to you at any time, because that's another problem. Most people don't talk. They prefer to keep it to themselves. But if you give them a listening ears, they'll always come to you to explain, even if the thing is not sensible at that time. So,
You've had, I see that you've had the best of education. I mean, you're speaking well, you're coordinating well, and your thoughts are together. But a lot of students, you know, children are out of school. How does that make you feel, and what do you think is responsible? Do you think it's you know, a family thing, or it's a societal thing, or it's a government thing?
What I think is responsible are in different aspects. Like she said, if the parents see the value for that particular thing, they would definitely go on to it. You cannot just tell a parent, bring your child to school, bring your child to school. Explain the reason why your child has to go to school. Explain what it will provide in the future, reasons. And you'll see the parents who think about it and it's like, oh yes, it's a good idea. And you cannot tell a parent to bring their child to school and the place has dirty around or smelling water or a place that the child can easily get infected or contact sickness. So if safe spaces are provided, surely parents that understand the reason will bring their children to school. So there should be bit by bit explanation to the parents, and there should be provision of safe spaces.
So it's a collective thing. So it's not just parents have their role to play, and the society also, you know, has its own role to play. Okay, I think we have messages coming in. Let's quickly take some messages, and then we'll just continue. We're almost running out of time. This one is from Comrade Bello Bukola Jamil from Ugidi World in Ilorin West, Kwara State, and he's written a whole lot of issues, some of which we have dealt with. He said the issue of child rights in Nigeria, as claimed by, you know, our political office holders, is a scam, as many children are facing serious abuses when it comes to education. Our schools are underfunded, you know, she alluded to that, making children who attend them unable to be globally fit. Some of those children lack dreams on what they would become in future. You also alluded to that. Health-wise, some families in remote areas don't have access to good health. Families' access to healthy drinking water is a mirage due to inability to expand water accessibility, and in some cases, existing facilities become moribund without giving adequate attention. Lagos, this one is from Ibrahim Friday Adejo, Bonny Island in River State. Good morning, NTA. I love your topic. Protecting child rights require funding for education, healthcare, welfare, child protection services, and legal systems. This can create a heavy financial demand on government and families. Government should look into this. Okay, Victor, you have...
All right, I have just one from Nandom Wiep in Jos. And it says, indeed, children are leaders of tomorrow, but not where the elders won't give them the chance. When we look at children, they should inspire us in two sentiments: tenderness for what they are today, and respect for who they may become tomorrow. Each day of our lives, we make deposits in the memory banks of our children. God help the children to fulfill destiny, and bless all those who seek to have one or more of their own. God bless Nigeria, he writes.
All right. I still want, let's quickly see what we can pack in 3 minutes. You've been told these 3 minutes. People ask, why do many cases of child sexual abuse still end in family settlement?
In 30 seconds, who goes first?
Hawa, yes.
Okay, it ends in family settlement because of lack of funds. Most of the time...
can't afford litigation?
They can't afford litigation. They can't afford the services to actually get the justice that they need. And most times as well, money is promised to those families that actually settle behind closed doors to be able to keep their mouths shut or to be able to just close the chapter.
All right.
I can say that it's happening because of lack of will by those administering the system.
The institution.
The institution. For instance, there is VAP law, Violence Against Persons Prohibition, that deals with all this. My organization started running a campaign to encouraging people to come forward. That's why we are saying, come forward if you have issues. In our own case, we've gone even to as far as writing the Attorney General of the Federation, writing the ministers that has to do with children. What is it about children?
But you have not been able to solve your own case.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm even making reference to my case. So now, the next stage is now to start media awareness. Like today's Children's Day, I'm saying that, okay, I'm not organizing any program. This is what I've presented, say, for my children. You see? So we have to start this so that people will know. We take this up to the next 5 days, we're talking about this, that Nigeria, the system, because there is a court judgment. I even moved to court despite a judge interference.
Yeah, taking us to a legal. We don't want to.
Let's go to Ronald, please. Yes. How can communities and not just government play a stronger role in upholding child rights?
Well, I think it's first we need to inform them about the child rights. So we cannot expect them to uphold the rights unless they're aware of it. So I think it needs to be cascaded down from the state level to the LGA level to the ward level up to the village level. And that's why in Nigeria there's a very good system, like, the community and the religious system, that we need to make the best use of it.
And Praise, in 30 seconds, one more thing that the children are asking for today. 30 seconds.
Safe spaces for education, because when they're educated, they already have every other thing they need. We should also know that children are not just our future, they are also our present.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me quickly thank Ronak Khan. UNICEF Nigeria Deputy Country Representative, and also to thank you, UNICEF, for all you're doing for Safe Schools Initiative. We heard you're doing some good things in Niger and some other parts of the state. Thank you. Praise Ayeku saying thank you. UNICEF Young Influencer, thank you very much. Keep it up. We're proud of you. Hawa Abbas, President, Founder, Silver Lining for the Need Initiative. We'd like to appreciate you as well. And please keep collaborating with all the agencies. I'm sure we'll bridge the gaps that came out in the report. And Honorable Abdul Hamid Oladipupo Ali, Mr. Nigeria, thank you. We wish that you would resolve your issues amicably and, of course, that you restore the rights of your children to protection and identity. Yes. Thank you very much for coming to share your story with us. And that's the end of our first conversation. Please don't go away. We have our second conversation coming up briefly.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Holy Book tells me when there's a casting down, there is a lifting up. Today we highlight the night of bliss with Pastor Chris. And as well, seated in our Lagos studio, let me welcome who is going to shed more light on this conversation, Deacon Gabriel Oluwashola, who is a group pastor of the Ogudu Group. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad to be here with you.
We are glad to have you too. Now, I've heard Night of Bliss many times. It's a very catchy, title. A lot of people also have heard it, but what exactly does Night of Bliss mean? What is it about?
Well, thank you once again. I'm so excited to actually, talk about Night of Bliss with Pastor Chris. Night of Bliss is going to be a night, of prayer, a night with the Word of God, a night of rich fellowship with the Spirit of God, a night of miracle, and most especially, something very big is on the way for our nation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Deacon, thank you. I like that you have said that something big is on the way for our nation. Could you, walk us through this something big? What is it that, people should expect?
Okay, thank you so very much. You see, I listened and I watched the program, that you just finished with your guest, and you will agree with me that in our nation today, we have so many things happening that actually require the power of God. We have those in government, we have the security agency, they are doing their best, but you see, everything that you see happening in the physical, actually has its root from the spirits. There's a spiritual path of what is happening. A man of God of increase will be praying, will not only be praying for you, he will be praying for your family members, and at the same time, he has told us that he's going to be praying for this nation. So I'm actually looking forward, because if you look at our nation, Nigeria, no Nigerian has any reason for even thinking of running to other nations, because we have all that we require in this nation. We have resources in abundance. Talk about human resources, natural resources, we have them in abundance. So we should have people from other nations coming to Nigeria to be part of the deposit of God in our country, Nigeria. So a man of God has said that this meeting will mark, a major point. It's a time of transformation, not only for Nigerians, but for our nation, Nigeria.
Let me ask you, a night of bliss with Chris, Pastor Chris, it's routine event. Is there any spectacular thing about this particular event coming up?
Okay, yes, thank you so very much. Like I said, first of all, the Bible talks about the the time of visitation. the Bible talked about the time of appointment, you know, for our nation, Nigeria, and specifically I want to tell our viewers, come with expectation in your hearts, you know, come with, you know, desire, and come with faith. Let your faith be strong. For those that are sick in their body, that program is where to be on that day. You know, maybe you have direction for life. You know, that is the place of appointment. And like I said earlier, Pastor will not only be praying for you, it will be praying for your family members. Family will be united. Family will be, you know, will come together once again. There will be joy and peace in homes, you know, and most especially, it's a time of visitation for our nation. So I want to urge all our viewers and those that are watching us right now, not only that they should come with others, come with everybody, come with politicians, come with obas, traditional rulers. Everyone needs to be there. Come with traders, come with girls, boys. You know, it's actually a time that if you're in Nigeria, that program is where you should be that night.
This program usually draws huge participation. And so what would you say that families and individuals can expect when they come for the Night of Bliss with Pastor Chris Oyakilome, particularly first-timers? If I want to attend for the first time, what should I expect?
Thank you so very much, sir. Once again, like I said, you know, life is spiritual. Even accidents don't happen by accident. For anything to happen in life, there is a spiritual path of life. So for anything to happen, you know, it has to happen first in the realm of the spirit. You see? So, and like I said, it's a time to of resetting. If I want to talk to our first-timers, those that will be coming for the first time, there's a lot for you. God's blessings, you know, will be in that program on that day in a way you never thought possible. The grace of God will be lavishly available for all, you know, and for you to move to the next and higher level in life, you have the spiritual enablement to be able to do so. You will see people that they are trying to do a lot of things and they just find that they are not moving. You know, at times you could be from wherever. But one thing I want to tell you is this. When you come for Night of Bliss, you know, come 21st, you know, of this month, it's happening live at Police College in Ikeja, your life would never remain the same. Hopeless situation will be turned hopeful. I can tell you, it doesn't matter what it is that you want God to do. All you need to do is to come for that program.
Must people be physically present to be able to attract, you know, these goodies, in quotes? And then what are the preparations for security? I mean, Victor already said it usually attracts, you know, large crowd. So how are you preparing for the security of those that will come? I have two questions. Must people be physically present to be able to attract the spiritual rewards? And then two, what is the provision for security for those that will come?
Thank you so very much. And this is something I must really quickly tell you. That program, because we understand that anytime pastor is to hold any crusade, we have a lot of people coming around. But I can tell you, first of all, this program is not only happening in Lagos. You know, we have at least 10 other locations across Nigeria. So we're going to be in Abuja. We have a crusade going on at the same time, the same hour, with the same man of God in Abuja, Cross River, Port Harcourt, Ebonyi. We have Kogi. You know, because see, this program, it's just too important for us as individuals and for our nation. And most importantly, we're working with every every arm of government agencies, security, and all of that. We've put everything in place to ensure that we have seamless crusade you know, you don't need to be afraid of anything. The security is guaranteed. Even if you want to come, we have, with your car, we have car park, you know, available. We also have vehicles, buses at our various Christ Embassy churches, I mean, all across the states, you know. Aside from our church venues, we also have a major bus stops and major points across Lagos State. So what I'm saying is, don't be afraid of security. We have security in place. We have, we're working with government agencies. We also have brethren trained, properly trained, you know, I mean, they know exactly what to do. And, you know, for that day, I can tell you, come is going to be seamless. Then you also talked about whether it's going to just be, you have to be physically present. No, you don't have to be physically present. But it's important you're physically present. But just in case you can't, we have several other overflows where you can participate. We have, like I told you earlier, we're going to be in several nations, Taraba, you know, and several states, rather, not nations, several states, you know, on that same day, you know, that same night with the man of God. Glory to God. And most importantly, we're going to have it on air so you can watch from home. You know, but it's important that you actually attend in person. Thank you.
60 seconds from me. I like that, you know, I'm a believer too in the spiritual power and in miracles. But what is the church like, you know, your church and the Night of Bliss with Pastor Chris doing with all the kidnappings and security issues that are, you know, rampant and going? I mean, one would have expected that with all the prayers and the promises, we would have seen a reduction in some of these cases.
Well, the truth is, thank God the church is praying, because I can tell you that the situation would have been worse. The situation would have been worse, would have been horrible, but thank God the church is praying. Thank God is praying. You know, and again, a man of God has told us one of the major aim of this program is actually for our nation. And I can tell you that after this program, Nigeria will never remain the same. You know, you can, I mean, you have me on record. After this program, Nigeria will never remain the same. A lot of things will begin to change because we're coming together to pray. We're praying for the nation. We're praying for the family. We're praying for individuals, I mean, in our nation. And aside from this, we're also going to have the word of God, you know, minister to us with power. You know, the Bible says he gave his word and his word healed them. The same way, that same word that healed the sickness, that same word is tangible enough to heal the nation, to heal the states, to put families together. So, you know, like I said, thank God we have the church. Without the church, this nation would have, I mean, you wouldn't even, by now, you may not even have a nation. That's the honest truth. And I can tell you by the power of Almighty God,